Welcome to Handmade Happenings. I'm Marissa, and today I'm trying King Arthur Baking Company's recipe of the year, which is for supersized, super soft chocolate chip cookies, and they take at least a day to make. So the recipe starts out with browning butter. Now this isn't something I do very often, and usually when I do, I think I actually end up pouring it too soon. In fact, the only time I know for certain that I definitely got brown butter was a complete accident. I was melting butter for popcorn and kind of forgot about it. But this recipe actually gave a time for how long it was supposed to be on the stove, so that helped. Once the butter was browned, it got poured over brown sugar and salt, and then I stirred it in, even though the recipe didn't call for it, because to me that just made sense. Then it was back to the stove to make I'm not going to try and pronounce it, so I'll just put the word on the screen. Basically, it's a roux like you would with gravy. And then once it was thick, and I really do definitely mean thick, it got poured into the bowl as well. Then added to the bowl was eggs, and the recipe specifically called for cold eggs. And fun fact, if you didn't know, eggs that haven't been washed don't need refrigerated, and we have chickens. We don't wash our eggs. We store them at room temperature. So this was actually something that I had to think about and specifically remember to put eggs in the refrigerator to get them cold. Following the eggs was the vanilla extract and the flour. Now the recipe gives both cup and gram measurements for the flour. I typically prefer to weigh flour. It kind of saves on dishes usually. However, this dough is very heavy, and I actually did end up having to measure at least part of the flour into another bowl because my scale was about to max out. And then this is also when the baking powder and baking soda was added and everything was mixed up, which was quite an arm workout. It was really thick and kind of reminded me of taffy. And this recipe, like I said, is just really not fast because then the dough had to chill before the chocolate could even be added. And I seem to have lost the footage for prepping the chocolate, so the video is going to jump straight to mixing the chocolate in. But the recipe called for chocolate wafers cut with a serrated knife. I'm a little puzzled as to why it had to be a serrated knife. I would assume that any sharp knife would work, but anyway, I ended up using chocolate batons that I had for making croissants, and that just really raised the stakes for these cookies turning out well because I ended up having to use all of what I had and basically depleting my stash of good chocolate. Once the chocolate was mixed in, the bowl went into the fridge to chill for at least 24 hours. And when it came back out and I was ready to shape the dough, it definitely still looked like taffy. In fact, maybe looked even more like taffy and was just a bit sticky. Either way, the recipe was very specific about how much dough was to be used. In fact, it gave like a weight measurement. So I was weighing each ball of dough before shaping it and placing it onto the cookie sheet. And these made very big cookies. I actually only got about 6 on each cookie sheet, and I used the really big ones. Okay, so the cookies are out of the oven. They've cooled for the amount of time the recipe calls for, and we're going to taste test. So Mom is here, and do you want a whole cookie or do you want half of a cookie?
I want a whole cookie.
Oh, okay. Well, hand me the spatula.
This is the best part.
I know. Which is why I don't understand why anyone would choose to make a cookie that takes over a day to end up with a cookie. They must not be too bad she hasn't stopped to give me an opinion.
I think they're really good. Since they're still warm, they'd really be good with ice cream on top.
Yeah, these did end up a little overdone, but they're not bad.
I like chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah, they're definitely still chewy, which is apparently what the bread flour was supposed to accomplish, which we didn't have. But it didn't stop them from turning out chewy.
So how many did these make?
16.
You know they're not going to be around very long.
They at least have to last till tomorrow.
For grandparents to get one? Okay.
As you can tell from that taste test, these were a success. If you want to try this recipe, it's on King Arthur's website, and I will leave the link in the description.